It's Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, coming to you from Wisconsin on this Memorial Day, May 26th. And I see my little trinket from my recent trip is showing up as a shadow on my, this is a little metal sculpture I brought back from my trip, and I have it hanging here, but it's making a little bit of a shadow, so we'll have to see if that's too distracting. We might be able to just ignore it. We'll see. So, welcome. Thank you for popping in and spending a little bit of your day with me. I'm going to see if I can get this on my device so I can watch for comments if any come in. And it looks like we're good to go here. So I thought I would do basically a Memorial Day card since this is Memorial Day. And I thought I would try to recreate in card form a recent painting I did. So this, if you remember, before last, it was probably the week before this last week, I went to a paint class with a couple of the gals that are on my team, and we did a painting night, a girls' painting night. We had a really fun time. So I am going to recreate this kind of. I'm not going to have the tree probably on my recreation, but I am going to do some painting. And I thought this sentiment here would be perfect for Memorial Day card. So forever loved, forever remembered. I have service members in my family, although none sacrificed their lives during their service. I did also work at the VA, and I worked in comp and pen, compensation and pension claims, and that for a couple of years. And I worked with some of our Jerry psych patients that there was a lot of PTSD and some of those issues following their service. So I have a great appreciation for our service members. So I thought this would be a great day to make a little flag card. So that's the sentiment that I'm going to use. And I am using Secret Sea, I think is the new color. Let me take a look. Yes, Secret Sea, because I'm going to use some of my inks. I'm going to use Strawberry Slush, and I'm just using some white craft ink. And I cut 2 of these because that's how I roll. I like to have them ready. This is kind of my little mock-up when I was practicing. So basically what I did with this one is, instead of doing it a normal portrait card, I'm going to do this landscaped, obviously, to follow the flag. And I have it scored at 5.5, and then I cut it at 4.25. So I've got 2 card bases ready to go. This one I will save for another card, and this one we will use for today's card. And then I am going to just set that aside for right now. I'm using the Fluid 100 watercolor paper, and I actually had this piece ready to go, and this used the deckled rectangle dies that are no longer available. So if you don't have those in your stash, if you've got rectangle dies, you would just use the one that would give you the layer size that you want. I'm just going to use this one because it kind of looks like a wavy flag, and it was already die cut. So I'm going to go ahead and use that. So what I'm going to try to do is a little painting with our inks. After I pop a little cough drop, because I can tell I'm going to start coughing if I'm not careful. So let's first take care of stamping our sentiment. And I need to go get that ink pad. Oops, our brush just fell. So I remembered the re-inker, but I didn't remember my ink pad. So let's go ahead and just stamp that sentiment and get that taken care of. And then I'll trim it just to a rectangle. I could try to find a punch. That turned out pretty good. I could use a punch. Or a die. I think I might just cut this a little oversized because I may go and find my deckled rectangles and size one so that I can kind of make it to go with my back piece. So we'll just set that off to the side here. I have some pieces left over from last night too. And I kind of talked about being a messy stamper before. I'm still a messy stamper. So let's go ahead. This is for later. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up later or now or whatever. I'm going to use my little mat here. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm just going to put, for now, 3 drops of each of these colors. You can use, that was 4, I guess. And I'm going to use the white. The white is a little thicker, so that doesn't really come out in drops. It just comes out in a squiggle. And I have my water painter. And I'm going to just add a couple of drops. And it looks like I might still have some strawberry slush in here. I'm going to move this over. I think you can see it okay, but I'll just make sure. All right, so I'm just going to add a little bit of water to the blue, the Secret Sea, and I'm going to mix in some of the Craft White. And we're just going to start brushing it on here. And it's going to look a little abstract. Add a little bit more blue. And this was how our painting worked too. We just had to kind of trust the process. And I can add a little bit more water as I go. And I'm just going to kind of create a faux framing on here so that it stands out from my card base, because I want a little bit of that white edge, I think. So let's just keep adding a little bit more blue, that Secret Sea. And we'll just kind of let it drift in. All right, and then I'll just use some water and get some of that blue pushed out of there. I probably should have started with the strawberry slush, but of course I didn't, so we're just going to kind of work with this. And it will be fine, because either way it's going to look like a flag. I'm just going to add a little bit of white on here because I want to soften that up just a little bit. And then you can see I'm just kind of pulling some of that Secret Sea into here, because that's kind of how we did it in our little painting class, because you just kind of meld it all. Linda Gums! I see you're up late too. Late night Lori and late night Linda. Welcome. So we'll just keep going here. Linda, does this look familiar? It should. It should look familiar. Linda is on my team and we went and painted together. So this is getting a little more pink than I wanted it. So we'll just add a little bit more strawberry slush. And we'll add another row down here. So the nice thing about the water painters is that you don't really have to be an artist. Just like when we went to our painting class. I am certainly not a professional artist, but when you follow directions and you kind of trust the process, they turned out pretty good. I think we all did a nice job. So, Linda, in case you came in late, I'm recreating our painting as best I can. And then I think I'm going to add a little bit more of the craft white. I gotta get the pink out of my brush. I might have to go pick up another brush. I have several, but I'm gonna just put some more of this here. And actually, I think we used a little bit of a yellow. Let me go pull a yellow. We'll do Darling Duckling. Because when we did the white, we almost made it into a little cream kind of color. So I'm going to use a little Darling Duckling here. We'll see how it goes. And if I don't like it, I can always make another one. So we'll add a little bit of water here. It's still getting pink. There we go. It's starting to come clear now. All right, so we're going to use a little Darling Duckling. I'm going to use quite a bit of white. And we'll see how this works out. I think I'm going to put a little bit more white in there because it got a little darker than I expected. And I should have done this part first, but it'll be fine. It'll work out all right. Because I should have probably done the cream first. Usually you go with the lightest color first, but I was coming on a few minutes later than I expected. I've been trying to get closer to being at 11 o'clock all the time. Sometimes that's a challenge. I think I need to add a little bit more white again, so it looks more creamy than white or than yellow. And then I think I need to add a little water here too. Loosen that up a little bit. And that's the nice thing about the watercolor paper, is because it is designed to absorb the wet. Okay, and then we'll do this last little stripe here. And we'll let it set a little bit. And I guess I kind of lost my white framing over on this side, but these colors will stand out against that Secret Sea card base. It looks a little messy, but that's kind of like the waving flag, I think. We'll try to get some of that yellowish white out of here, and we'll do some more with the strawberry slush. And then what we did too was we used some of the white Whoop, yep, that's the right color. It looks so dark when it comes out of the bottle. We used some of the white to make like it was waving. And I'm not really going to be able to do that on here because it's going to be too wet. And you can see what it's doing here. I'm going to go ahead and dab this because I didn't want that to run like that. So I'm going to have to wait for this to dry a little bit more before I can add more color. But I can probably go back up and do a little bit more on the blue part. So I feel like I'm just making a mess. But I'm a messy stamper, so that's how I roll. Just add some white there too and see if we can get this in a shade that I like. So part of what we did was we tried to make little clouds like with the white. So I'll have to let this dry and then do the next part of it with the white after it dries a little bit. I don't really want to pull my heat gun out because I don't want some of those to run. So if we set this on our card base, I'll clean that out in a minute. If we set this on our card base, and then if we use this sentiment from this new stamp set, The Right Words, I will cut it down to like a banner. I don't know that I'll use those dies, but let's cut this down a little bit so you'll get an idea better of how it will look. When it's sized properly. Let's trim a little bit more off that edge. So there's kind of how it would look. I think I will end up putting that kind of there. Get this out of the way. And once this dries a little bit more, I'm going to add some more, excuse me, of the strawberry slush because I don't want it to look like as pink as it is. Although with our painting, when we did the white, it did get kind of pink looking, but you can kind of see how we put the white and the blue in there. And here we added the white for clouds. So that's what I'm shooting for on my card. And I'm going to have to change the water because it got inside my brush. You can see that, which is no big deal. But that's what I'll do there. And then instead of having embellishments on there, I will just use some of the white. And I will add some of those cloud forms to the star section so that it looks like our red, white, and blue. So I will post a picture at least on my Facebook page, My Lori's Little Bit of Crafting on Facebook. And you can see here in my little mock-up where I've got the little bit of white in there when I was just kind of playing with the colors. But once I let this dry, and I'll finish it up hopefully tomorrow, and I'll post some pictures and we'll see how it looks. I think I'll probably get rid of a little bit of that white framing at the top so it looks a little more uniform around the framing. So this will probably also go up on dimensionals. So we'll see. We'll see how it looks when I'm all done. But my painting was my inspiration for this Memorial Day project. That's all I have for you tonight. And until next time, happy crafting.